Welcome to the fourth tutorial in our Convoworks Basics series. After we learned about system configuration and basic conversational concepts, in this episode we will create fully functional number guessing game. As a first step, let's create a new service. We will again use the basic template. Our game will have two modes. The user can either guess or pick the number. In the guess game mode, we are asking the user for his guess. In the pick game mode, we are trying to guess the number the user picked. Pick game has one additional step where the user can prepare for the game and has to confirm that he is ready. Now that we have our conversation outlined, let's just quickly reorder steps to make it more readable. Let's now start full implementation for each step we have. At the beginning, we are asking the user about game type. Let's correct the fallback message. After that, we have to define the user intent we want to catch here. Let's call it game type intent. And let's enter several example utterances. We will write examples using only the guess game type. We'll come back in a moment to correct it. Now we can catch it, but let's finalize game types first. For this, we will create a game type entity. This entity can have two values which we are expecting. You can also define synonyms for your values. Now we can properly mark game type in our previously defined intent utterances. Select the desired word and tag it as a game type entity. Now when we catch game type intent, we can use game type slot value to adjust our conversation workflow. For that, we will use the good old if statement. Our slot values are under a predefined variable called result. If the expression evaluates to true, we will send our user to the guess game step. There is one thing we have to do before we go to the guess game. We have to pick the number, and we will save it in the session to make it available through several steps. In case when the user decides to pick the number, we will just redirect him to pick the game confirmation step. Let's not forget to save our work. Now we can switch to guess game mode. Let's add processor, intent filter, which will match our new guessed value intent. Let's add some example utterances. We are interested in the numeric part, so let's mark it. We are expecting numbers, and for that we are using system entities. When defining intents, more is always better. Save. When we catch intent, we will want to compare user's guess with our picked number. Our value can be lower. You can access slot value through the result variable. It can also be greater. Appropriate message. The third option is that we have a match. Once the game is over, we will redirect our user to the home step. While we are here, let's add a fallback message. And let's read the main question again. Now we can move to the pick game mode. In order to start this mode, first we have to have the user's confirmation. For that, we will use a yes/no processor. This is a predefined processor, and you do not have to configure anything in it. If the user responds that he is not ready, we can give him a bit more time. When defining responses, you can use SSML tags. We will use a break tag which will pause speech for 3 seconds. If the user is ready, we can initialize pick game mode. We have to set boundaries. and make a guess. As the game is just to begin, boundaries are set to minimum and maximum values. Now we can make a guess and we can go to the pick game itself. Let's first replace our dummy value with the real one. Now let's try to catch the user response. You should be familiar with adding processors and catching intents by now. On this step, we are asking the user if our guess is correct, and he will respond with something like "my number is lower," or some other variation. What we will be interested in is it lower or is it greater? Let's cover some synonyms too. Now we can go back and finalize our intent by marking our slot values. Let's implement our logic. We are checking against the value response slot. When the target number is lower than our guess, we should reduce our top boundary and try to guess again. We will use the else flow to cover when the number is greater. This time we are increasing our lower boundary. Guess again and read it to the user. Our guess can be correct, so let's cover that case too. We are using a separate processor. In the most trivial case, the user will say just simple yes. For that, you can use system intent. But let's also add our custom intent to handle a few more phrases. Once we have the correct answer, the game is over and we should go back home where the user can start over. Do not forget to finalize fallback flow. This time we will give the user some additional hints. As we already prompted our question, there is no need to run this block again here. Our game is now fully implemented. Let's connect it to the Amazon Alexa and then we can try it. First, the guess game type. Let's try to pick the number this time. That would be all for this time. In our next episode, we will make some improvements in our game workflow and show some advanced Convoworks features. Until then, bye.